Real freedom is
Okay, let's go.
earGROUND Radio. New voices amplified. earGROUND Radio.
Yes.
So, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Claude Margaret. Welcome to earGROUND New Voices Amplified. This is a program that we get to speak to different artists that are working within Zimbabwe and also within the diaspora. And of interest right now is the discussion around COVID-19. My colleague Boaz Gumede, who's based in UK, is also having another conversation with 4 or 5 other creatives just to discuss and dissect what is the impact of COVID-19 on the arts scene, on the creative industry in Zimbabwe. And also, how can artists survive it? And what are some of the lessons that we learned from it? And when it has been finally contained, how are creatives going to recover from it? So maybe to just start off with introducing yourselves just in a 30-second. Who are you? Chipo?
Okay, hello guys. My name is Chipo Basopo and I'm a theater practitioner and I work with children and young people from Chipao.
Great, great. And Blessing?
Hello, guys. My name is Blessing. I'm not sure to as I just.
Thanks a lot. You bring interest and perspective. Poet Itai, unjani?
Right, okay, my name is Poet Itai. I'm a Zimbabwean poet based in South Africa. I'm a writer and a performing poet. Thank you.
Great. Australia, Kozi Kozile.
Hi, how are you guys? My name is Kozi Kozile. I have a diploma in health sciences and I'm a utility worker in the mines and I'm a musician. Thank you.
Great. And then Hamilton.
Hi everyone, my name is Hamilton Laut. I'm a songwriter, composer, and an entrepreneur.
Great, great. And just to kick off the conversation, I don't know who wants to take it. How has been your life changed by Corona? How has been the experience so far?
The impact has been quite bad. The hysteria surrounding the coronavirus has been quite bad. Looking from the guys that I work with, I think it is quite a bad impact because we have a studio and we used to have walk-ins and now we don't have. Then we also have in-house artists that we cannot have inside anymore because of the lockdown. Plus this the hysteria surrounding the COVID virus. So the impact has been quite bad. We can't put out new music because it might not sit well with the current situation at hand. So it's like tools down for everything. We can't shoot videos, we can't record, we can't mix and master because we are not in the right sense of mind. So it's quite bad.
And Chipo, you are working with young people at Chipao, dance, theater, film,
Yes.
you name it. How has been the impact so far?
It has been really bad, because considering that we work with children and young people and these young people in school. So now the schools closed last week on Tuesday, and then also we had like every end of the term you have to host a concert for the children, and we're also preparing for the 17th International Theatre Festival for the kids, and that was going to bring a lot of school children around coming in on a Saturday before they close schools. So now that the school is closed and no longer going to school, it's really something else. It was really a blow because that's when you have audience coming in and you have revenues coming in with parents come to watch their children performing and presenting their end of term work, but it was not possible this time. And also the trips, all the trips, then they were all cancelled.
Wow, that's sad. In Australia, because you're working there, also in the arts scene, but you're doing a lot of work that you bring back home from time to time. How has been the experience like?
The experience is very terrible, my brother, and to everyone else. Hamilton, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here as well. He's one of the producers in our time, and just saw him, and I
Oh,
really
great.
appreciate him. So the thing is, with this music industry now, it's been very, very affected in a way that we've been having some shows. Some of the shows artists have been paid for, and they are now cancelled. There are some free shows that you do just to market your brand and your music. It's not even happening. It's cancelled. And socially, I want to break down the word social distancing that has been going viral on social media. That word or that statement will not only live for now, but it will live forever if we don't take it seriously. Because one person would think after this pandemic is gone, would think I will just social distance myself from other people. It's a term that is going to live forever, and we really need to tackle that where that statement social distancing into any other way we can come up with, so that people will not use that term for future sake or for the rest of our lifetime. The other challenge that we have is you can't go to the studio, especially for producers as well and artists, like you can't go and do a recording because the health people are saying the same mic that you used to record that thing, now the virus can stay for 4 to 8 hours or 12 hours. It can stay on that mic for 12 hours. So they're taking those precautions very seriously, and it's not good. Even when I wanted to do, like, I'm working on on an album that is coming out this year. I've done only 3 songs, and out of 10, I can't do the other 7 left because I was thinking this is the perfect time to finish up. But now you can't because everything has been closed. Okay, let me work on my videos then so that I can do the videos from the previous album. You can't do it all because we are not allowed to do that. And to be honest with you, it's not affecting only artists, but everyone, politicians, whoever you may think of, the church people, pastors, and everyone you may think of, religious people. It's affecting them because they're not getting any entertainment anymore. To tell you the truth, after 12 hours or 11 hours of work, there's that 30 or 10 minutes that someone will just go sneak in and look at what's going on socially in music industry. They want to see, be it drama or anything else, they want to see that. But we cannot do drama now because we are not supposed to be close to each other. It's now in Australia now, it's only 2 people. You're not allowed to be with 3 people in one place. Only 2 people. I don't know in Africa and Zimbabwe, there's no drama that you can work out on, nothing. And I'm going crazy. I don't know what to do now. I'm just sitting home.
Wow. And talking about that, for Blessing, you are a fan of the arts. How
Okay.
has your life been affected in terms of the stuff that you love, the music that you love, anything that you follow? Does your life has been affected as well, or in Gomandio?
Um, for me, I'm a student, right? So where I stay, like, since yesterday, we haven't been allowed to move outside. We haven't been allowed to even go and buy bread. We are just quarantined. I say, like, for example, and it was cancelled. So students have been, we are so much affected by the COVID-19, and it's very devastating because where I say there are no recreational activities. So we're actually looking forward for those shows that are going to take place like from this weekend going on. So we're so much affected by the COVID.
Wow. And Poet Itai,
Yes,
South
Claude.
Africa announced a lockdown ahead of Zimbabwe, and
Yeah.
you are based there, you are working there, you're also a performing artist. How have you been affected by coronavirus?
Uh, we were very much affected, Claude, in terms of the pocket. Don't entirely depend on art for survival. So my pocket was very, very disturbed. Though artistically, it was a bit of an advantage for me to be given 3 weeks out of work. I'll have more time to write my stuff. Currently, I'm working on my book, and I think this is the perfect time to focus on what usually takes time when I'm going to work. So I got enough time to focus much on my work. Also, being an artist who usually put most of my work on internet, I'm an online artist as well. You would find more views on Netempo TV and on my page. Most of my poems, there are more views, which means people are much focusing on online art more than direct performance that we usually do. So in a way, it crippled my pocket. At the same time, it gave me time to focus on what I wanted to do. Like tomorrow night, I titled it "Lockdown with Poetry." I'll be doing a live reading of my poetry. So not so bad, not so good though.
Wow. You're talking of how you're utilizing the internet space to actually, uh, you know, create more content, distribute more content. But back to everybody now. How are artists surviving in this situation, in the lockdown situation, where I would understand a lot of artists in Zimbabwe, creators or creative directors, there are no savings. There is no money that is left behind for the survival for just a week or even 2 weeks.
Sure.
How are people going to survive the 21 days? And if extended, what, what's your take on that?
Uh, it's a
So,
crisis. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. You're saying something?
Okay. I was saying it's a crisis plot. Given the situation of Zimbabweans creatives based home, it's a serious crisis. We don't earn much. Those guys they don't earn much. So you'd find a week without going on stage would be very disastrous, especially Kuma artists are based in Zimbabwe. So it's my one chow.
Wow. And Chipo, you
um,
guys have
I would
savings.
I would rhyme with a poet what he said, because back to artists economic that you live with, what you do today is what gives you money for the food today and maybe 2 3 days. Then have to be a week, then it's really something else. Like I'll tell you that like if we had to go for a trip and the children and us had to get an allowance, we come back, but then all that is cancelled and you can't even have you don't have a savings because the money is not even enough to put up a savings with that. So it's really something really that is going to kill hard on artists, and especially you find that most of the creatives are breadwinners in their families, not only to their own families that they have, but also with extended families. You have your parents, cousins, and everyone else around you. So if you then you don't be able to feed them, that means you yourself and the rest of the other people that you're taking care of are going to starve, because what is needed more in terms of this lockdown, that people need to have food in the house, they need to have water, they need to have, electricity. But here in Zimbabwe, you can't find it, because in 1 minute you have electricity, the next minute you don't have, and most of the suburbs, even my locations, they don't have water it's something that is really hitting hard. And also our government haven't even put up a strategy of how they're going to compensate the artists, like what other countries are doing, which makes it more difficult and frustrating, especially when you're an artist. Then you are hearing that Germany has given, Africa is doing this. We are talking of our neighboring country, which they are also doing that. Then what is it in for us as artists? You know, as like as young as we are, and even for our older, the gurus in the arts, what is it that they're going to do during?
Wow. You highlight there's something very important that other countries, especially in the developed world, they've put in place some rescue packages for the creative industry. And you gave an example of Germany. Yes, they have a different context, but they've put together 50 billion as a rescue package, 50 billion euro to rescue the creative and the cultural industries. Um, how else cause do you think an artist can actually survive this environment because uh, of the lack of savings, because of just the poor infrastructure when it comes to what artists can actually do, because there's not so much in terms of people that are consuming content online. Do we have so many people buying music, buying books online, and streaming? Is there enough uh, income that is coming through those platforms? Because here in Europe, everybody's online, so artists are still making money as we speak.
But
Honestly,
in Zimbabwe, you can't make money when you're online. It's like, you know, going online now and this time, it's like to relieve yourself because you love your work. So you still have to continue doing what you love to do. So if I am the one, have to make sure that I keep kids laughing, you know, just like what example Derek Impoff is doing, calling kids and talking to them and singing to them. John Cole is dancing, and like you have to. It's like they're giving our children and themselves like a counseling process to go through this, but you can't get money out of it because if I'm to go online right now with my kids and do sessions with John Cole, but I'm not paying anything, I just have to make sure that I have Wi-Fi, and then if there's electricity, I'm able to connect with him. But if I don't have all those things, then how am I able to connect with them? So it's not about in Zimbabwe. My own thinking and the way I'm seeing things is that they will not make money through online, but it's a like you know a healing process. Saying you know
Yeah.
with God, this will pass. But you can't make money through online right now.
And
But
and
with Europe, then yeah.
you can make money. Hamilton, you're in South Africa there. How are artists surviving right now? This storm. I know it's been a couple of days now, not so many, but how has been sort of a survival strategy for artists there?
It's been hectic, plot. I think that there's no corporate continuity in terms of support, because when you look at most developed countries like South Africa, the South African artists, they have an ecosystem which is conducive to scenarios like this. So you find out that they have got corporate support, they've got companies that support them, so that when the situation like this arises, they can go online and still make money out of it through endorsements. But when you look at artists that come from Zimbabwe, most of them, they don't have. Uh, Considering the way things are, most people are cash strapped. So most of the time you find out that the streaming of music in terms of revenue, it's going down, because some people, most of the people that we had supporting us, I think 70, 60 or 70%, they were relying on internet from work. Some of them don't afford to have internet at home. So it's actually pulling down in terms of streaming revenue and adverts, etc. So it's pretty bad to find out that artists are actually making money out of it. It's just a matter of people trying to keep continuity so that they can keep their names alive. But in terms of cash coming in, it's really low as it stands. And considering some of the other artists from Zimbabwe that we have here in South Africa, most of them they don't actually live on the revenue that comes out of performance art. So they have to have a side job. So at this moment, it's just a matter of people doing something out of fighting boredom, because when you are used to doing a couple of things a day, like you have got a certain routine that you have to go through it on a specific day. If you miss one or two of that, you become bored. So people are actually going online out of boredom, but there is no one there to actually be there for them. I was on Joko's video yesterday. We found out that the people that were actually in the video were very few. I think it was hard for him to actually reach something like 20 people on that video, which means people don't actually have data to.
Wow, that's quite unfortunate there. I mean, commendable that there are some of these initiatives. I've seen artists, Mark D, Moyo from Mokomba is doing some live sessions. I've seen also John Ko and a couple of artists that are utilizing the online platforms. But I mean, back into context, Poet Itai,
Yes.
you're saying you have managed to grow your numbers during this period. People are starting to consume much of your work. What's your feeling with regard to the situation in Zimbabwe right now, as far as survival for artists? Artists that were already struggling to survive as things were without any lockdown, they were still struggling. There was no money. You know, the number of gigs was going down. For like live performers, exhibitions were less. Festivals that cancelled, the likes of Haifa, the likes of Nyombo, Chimani Mani, a number of initiatives are no longer happening, right? There wasn't really much money circulating in the creative economy. So is it that if we have another crisis like this, we'll still struggle the same way, or there are lessons that we might have to learn from this whole experience?
I think the problem plot lies within our government. We have the National Arts Council, who are very, very much good. Who are very, very much good in pursuing us or pushing us to register our works, or they are just good with paperwork. Now this is a real test for them to act. Those guys need to take our industry seriously. There is no policy that guarantees a life of an artist in a crisis like this. But the office is 365. Then we also have a responsible minister. Ladies and gentlemen, artists are suffering. Find a crisis or patsina, artists are suffer. So at the end of the day, you would find in a ministry, in a council, who are good, just good for paperwork. But when it comes to real issues that affect artists or creatives, this is a real test. Where are they? I never saw a statement from the National Arts Council. I never saw a statement from the Minister of Arts and Council. I was watching on TV the Minister of Arts in South Africa. He promised a lot for creatives. He felt sorry for the creatives. Where is our minister? Where is the National Arts
I
Council?
saw one statement from the National Arts Council where they were urging artists to stop any events, and there was an effort from the Blawayo creative arts community where they were trying to engage the government to say, look, all the money that you had reserved for different initiatives like the Culture Week, like
Sure.
yes, are you able to channel that money towards the livelihood and survival for artists that have been affected by this? But I think that didn't really gather much traction, and there was not really like a buy-in. But like what you're saying, I've not seen a statement from the minister or the deputy minister talking about the situation right now, giving direction, giving a sense of leadership to say, this is how we're going to tackle the situation, and to really stand in front at a crisis, at a situation like this. Because I think post this situation, some artists may never recover. They may never recover at all. The losses that they've incurred, right now some are borrowing to actually make ends meet, But post this, I think
Sure.
it's really going to be a big test.
Um,
Sure.
Yeah.
on this one, I think it goes both on even producers as well, because trust me, uh, there are tenants to their landlords, my studios mom as well. So it's gonna affect them as well, because nobody understands that I can't pay rent because there's no one coming to record, because their premises that they are renting, they're expecting to get something to feed themselves as well as to pay rent for their houses as well and to feed their families. And I don't want to run out the fact that to be an artist, there must be a fan who's following the art as well. It's affecting the followers of the art, the fans as well, in a way that they cannot get anything new. You know how they come to you and like, why is there anything coming this year? Are you recording this and that? And you can't go anywhere without it, because they, they want to know what's coming out. And there's nothing coming out with this thing that we're going through. In Australia now, as we speak, to be honest with you, there is money that has been put out to support people like rents and stuff like that, but it's not yet out. It's just a statement at the meantime. But to artists, Baba, I don't want to lie to you, it's very quiet as well. To be honest with you, we were doing very well, especially this era when we started this year. I thought this was the most best year of my moment, but now it's not, because when this thing came up, all the shows are cancelled. Even the free shows, we used to go out in the streets, because we are in a Western world where they don't understand your language. They don't understand what you're talking about. It's not a song, it's a language. They don't understand what you're talking about. But when you put out in the streets, like we used to bask in a city, everyone will just come and because they want to hear. They love the beat, they love what your the presentation. But now you're not allowed even to do that. And you know, I'm not targeting my fellow Zimbabwean followers. I'm not targeting a Zimbabwean fan. I'm trying to break into the Western world so that people will know there is a culture that is represented in a Western world, which is an African Zimbabwean culture. It's not happening because everything has been closed. But we can talk about royalties from YouTube, but how much do you get? You got like 100 followers on YouTube, subscribers on YouTube. How much do you get from that? We know how much it pays. We know, we don't want to lie about it. And I want to come back to Zimbabwe. Baba, I don't want to lie to you. We have producers who are now crying. We were doing very well for them and their families. Now they're crying because we're not recording. They might have local record people, artists recording there, but you know, it's more money when you have someone who's in diaspora to record in your studio. You don't charge the same amount. And now it's affecting them because they cannot even get the locals. What about the ones who are in foreign land? They're not getting them anywhere. So let me not talk about names, but one of the producers called me today and said, Kozisha, just help me out. I can't pay my rent. I can't even buy food today, not for future. He's talking about today because there's no way you can go. The studio, the owner closed the studio because it's not allowed by the health sector and the government. But still, he is expecting rent after
But
a month.
yeah, but still on that, I mean, we're talking about all these challenges that we're facing. We know our economy in Zimbabwe is bad, but don't you think it's also upon the creative sector, the artists, the creators, the producers from music, dance, theater, film, to really be able to create and build that sort of ecosystem that will help, one that Hamilton has referred to, that look, here in South Africa, the artists are also playing a role in terms of alleviating and helping raise awareness and also even help out. A couple of artists that came out and said, I'm going to help out in this way, I'm going to help out in that way. Do you feel that artists in Zimbabwe or creatives, they are so relaxed to the extent that we have not built this, we are not ready for anything apart from what we have right now?
Goma, let me say something before you go anyway. let me talk about this side before I go to Zimbabwe. If you are caught on the negative side of the law, it's $50,000 fine. And for that matter, they had to. Someone was caught on the negative side of the law and was made to pay that $50,000. So going to Zimbabwe, I don't know how it works, but to be honest with you, the system of the government is brutal. Let's be honest about it. It's very brutal. What they know is to beat people in the streets. If you're not on the right side of the law, they'll beat you up. Tell me, I know artists want to do. I know Peter Moy. I'll talk about Peter Moy. He wanted to do a show, I think, on Friday night, this Friday. Baba, the army that came in and luckily he was not yet on the scene, but people were beaten up. It's not on social media, it's not on the newspaper, but people were beaten up.
Why would artists go on to organize shows in the midst of this crisis?
I
know
know.
there's an issue of survival of livelihood, but I mean, well, I was asking there in terms of are artists doing enough on their own, because it seems to be hand to mouth. There is no one who's making savings, even those that are making money. No one is making money to keep. Hamilton, what's your take on that? Like, do you think artists have done enough to be organized, to really work out and build an industry that can sustain them?
That's a difficult question to answer, Plot. But I think let me start this way. I would say, first of all, there is no ecosystem in terms of support of the artist business infrastructure. So the ecosystem is broken. It needs to be sorted out. That's the first thing. The second thing is, when you look at how much artists make, especially in Zimbabwe, the ecosystem is not conducive to an artist making money out of his works. He only makes money out of performance. And out of the performance, he gets a little of the money that comes from the performances, because there is a lot of people involved. There's promoters, there's managers, the people that do the marketing. So the paychecks becomes lesser and lesser.
Yes.
And there's no payback in terms of the support structure. There is a lot of people that are supportive of the art of the music in Zimbabwe, but there is no conducive payback system. So, for example, if you have a person like Winky D, he has got a couple of people that have supported him over the years that he needs to pay back to, in that sense. So you'll be left with nothing to pay back to the community for the growth of the arts. So at the end of the day, you find out that in terms of cash, no one is making enough cash to sustain, because they are not making enough money to save. They're only making money to utilize in that moment, because the ecosystem is not complete. The ecosystem itself is not complete. So without a complete ecosystem, there's a breakdown. So there's a loose chain that needs to be fixed.
Talking about loose chain,
And
Chico,
also,
what's your take? Do we have
and also, I wanted to just add in from what he said. You know, already artists have been fighting for Kutivanzgikwe and certain things that were put in place even to the responsible people, Kuvaku Ministry, Kwacho, National Arts Council and stuff. So like now, even if they want to speak now in the midst of this crisis, they still are not going to be heard, because every time we need this, we need that, we need that. So at the end of the day, you find good artists, Akungo Buddha, they're now just going out and try to do their work for that particular day of giving, as say, people, because they can't just sit and continue complain. And our responsible people doesn't as in, it doesn't make sense the way they are, but they need us for them to be able to continue with their own daily lives. They also need the artists, but then at the end of the day, they don't want to kupama artists what is theirs.
Can I take it from there as well, Pep?
yeah, okay.
Ndakutsigira zvataura nachipo. Bring a point yekuti artists, we have never been a priority to these people. So
Yes.
vanotida kana paine need. Handiti toshandisiwa topuwa rice nechicken opuwa $10 yekudzokera kumba. That's all they do. Right. Then let me bring this point again. Pane issue, I don't want to point names. Pane issue mfana akasainiwa manje. Now you will see the importance yekusainiwa kwemunhu. Kuti I can tell you kuti yeah, patafiwa nenzara plot, but I can guarantee you kune 3-4 vakasainiwa nemastari right vasingafi vakafa nenzara because of the step that they took. It was a bit risky to their art, but now you can see kuti kunzi ndikushandira nhingi kunotishandei than kunzi ndiri artist especially given the show yemuZimbabwe. So now taakuda kupota tichibhorowa mamwe models ataifunga kuti ari unnecessary muZimbabwe, but there are sometimes atinofila kuti achave necessary, like in this instance. In lockdown, it's not a guarantee kuti 21 days. They can extend it to 50 days. Unodyei wajaira kuridza mbeya engine ka 1 every Friday. But kana ndakasainiwa, I have the privilege yekupinza phone call. Mukuru ndionewo. You know, because ndiri munhu wako wangu. So zvinhu zvakaita so kumana pakaipa.
Wow. Quite interesting. Where do we go? You already touched on something, but where do we move from here? Hamilton, if you can raise your head is cut a bit. I don't know if you can if I can see a bit of your head. Your head is appearing a bit cut. But yeah, I wanted to ask you, where do we go from here? We have the next 5 minutes to just break that down. What do we do? How do we move forward? What do you suggest? Poet Itai, you've suggested that it's actually important for an artist to get signed somewhere. But who's signing artists in Zimbabwe? There's maybe 1 or 2. There's maybe Timak who are signing artists, but the rest, there's no one who's signing artists. And also artists, we have seen how artists have sort of over the years relying on donor funds, waiting for NGOs, for embassies to actually sustain their work, except for those that get money from gate takings. I know very few that are making money through that way. Where do we go from here?
Let me phrase it this way, Paul. It's quite a complex situation that the artist industry is in. If you look at the model that many countries use in terms of music, it's a banking system. The banking system, more like the record label loans money to the artists for production, for videos, for everything, marketing, PRs, and everything. After selling, then they get their money first. But that system does not work in Zimbabwe because no company is willing to assist any label. That's the first thing. The second thing, the economy is not conducive for the selling of music. You can't pay with the Zim dollar in Zimbabwe on iTunes. You have to buy a token, US dollars, for you to buy music on iTunes. So at the end of the day, when you look at the system itself, it needs to be sorted out for everything to come in place to actually let the artists get something from it. Last but not least, plot. If you look at Winky D, I'll give a simple example as Winky D and Japanese, how they have risen. Winky D was with Black Lab. He's still with Black Lab even up to now, even though he works with Vigilance now, but Black Lab is still the brick that Winky D is. The problem with our artists is that they have got a system of moving from one place to the other, looking for greener pastures, without noticing that when you have a base, that base can pick you up, it can take you places without you moving from one place to the other. That way you have a support system that can lift you up anytime, any place, anywhere. Then with that support system, you'll be able to serve together. You'll be able to go. We have got people like the likes of Templeman. They sold cars, they sold cows, they sold a lot of their stuff to support Zimdance or to support the likes of Winky B so that they can grow. So at the end of the day, it was the banking system. They had to get something out of it. So if they did not get something out of it, it brought the collapse of the support system. So we need to remend that support system. We need to figure out how we can start a banking system in terms of music, so that we as as the corporate world, the little that we have, if we support the system, if we bank into the system, we can actually create a viable industry that can help artists grow, and artists have also to learn to pay back into the system as well after
Wow,
they
quite
grow.
interesting. Quite interesting. But I'm moving away from maybe music, cheapo, dance, theater, film. What's the way forward? Where do we go from here? Corona is here. We don't know if we're going to go beyond the 21 days. Maybe there's going to be an extension. Artists are going to be poor and poor. Production companies are going to close down. Where do we go from here?
Yeah, it's really difficult to find way forward right now. But I think after this, it's going to show us um, that after all, we are all humans and we should look out for each other. So there will be need more of collaboration, more of putting our heads together as artists, because even though we want to look up to the top bosses in our lives to say that they're going to make things happen for us, definitely if they are not able to make things happen for us right now, that means aftermath, they will not be able to sustain. So it is up to us as artists in theater, in dance, wherever small organizations, be it a 3 month old or a 5 month old, it's now time for us to come together and find a better way or a better solution for us to move forward. Because definitely after this, because if we were living from day to day, with our earnings, and then 21 days, even more, you don't have earnings at all. That means that you have already collapsed. So, abasisina dent, abasisina income, you don't have projects to start because the Kutuzotanga project, even a concert, you shall need money to pay the venue to do certain things. Because the money is out, you will have because my dance organization is closed, officially closed. But then instead of having those, we don't want that situation again when we have organization being closed. So we want everyone who is in any different department to come together. Nemakuru vedu that vanoziva, like we have gurus in the theater, like Manat Daniel Maposa, there's
Yes,
Jason
please.
Little Theater. Those that they sit in the park, they have venues, they have everything, like everything. But also they're going to oh,
We lost your audio there. Yeah. Okay, I can hear
okay.
you now.
Can you have? I'm saying
Yes.
inenge yacho
I don't know where the feedback is coming from, but yeah,
yeah,
I can hear you now.
you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay. I'm saying kuti inenge yanguva yedu yokuti tichibatana and we look up to each other. Like be your sister's keeper, be your brother's keeper, so that we don't all just fail, but at the same time we rise together out of this situation.
Great. And I mean, the 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 cause continue in terms of what artists could actually do post the situation, but without us managing through the situation, helping send the message to the masses, because artists have got
Yes.
a huge traction, they've got a huge following,
Mm,
and
mm,
people will even listen to artists more possibly than politicians.
mm.
Going forward, right now, what can artists also do in terms of conscientizing people, raising awareness? Because there's still a lot of confusion with regard to coronavirus. Some believe it's not a disease that will affect them. Some believe uh, so many conspiracies that are there. Going forward, serving the audience, serving the community that is also going to consume the works of the artists, be it painters, be it dancers, be it filmmakers. Kozile.
Yeah, I think on another profession perspective, we need to educate these people about this coronavirus. Apart from everything that we've been talking about, we really need to send a message to the people, because without the funds, we are not artists. We are not artistic. We're not artists. And with the people, the fans, we are who we are today. So what we have to do now, it's our time, not to make an income out of it, but to educate them so that we can keep them safe. Let's talk about this coronavirus. Let's go on social media. Let's take advantage of this. Do video lives. Do just record a video, send messages. I think you have seen how much I'm posting about this coronavirus on my Facebook page. Let's educate them, because one life that is lost, it's a fund that is lost in your life, whether negative or positive, but it's a fund that is lost in your life. So let's try by all means to keep them safe. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about that we never mentioned about is our relationship side of this, the effect that it has affected our relationships as in families, marriages, and stuff like that. Like I've shared with you before, that I think what made I'm going through a phase where I'm losing a marriage, and I want to blame, it's not a spark plug, but this coronavirus played a part in my breakup with my wife. Like I said before to you, come upload inbox. We really need to educate not only about coronavirus, but about how people must come together and support each other in relationships as well, be it a father and a daughter, father and son, or man and a husband as well. We really need to take a stand, guys, and educate people. Let's give them hope, because one day when this is over, we will laugh about it, we'll talk about it, but still the art will still live, and our lives will still have something to talk about. I think that's all I will say for now.
Wow, thank you so much. Hamilton. Um, Kozile is talking about hope, is talking about the future, giving hope to society. Now society is broken down. People are so much quarantined. There's isolation. Social cohesion is being reversed. Um, what's your last message?
Yeah, there is a lot of hysteria surrounding this COVID-19 pandemic, right? I also think that it has come with a lot of stigma. There's a lot of stigmatization surrounding this issue. So I think artists and everyone needs to raise awareness about this pandemic and how to take precautionary measures, and how to also try by all means to make people understand that as far and as much as it is around, we have to be cautious in everything that we do. Cleanliness is the way to go. So most of the artists, they have got a huge following, and that following there is a need for awareness to make sure that following that you have uh, knows about this pandemic. So I think it's really, really important to make sure we raise awareness and educate people of what this virus is about, educate people what needs to be done to be safe, especially with this stay away that is in place.
Wow, thank you so much. Shipo, your last words, and then we end the conversation.
Okay, I would like to say that we are in a difficult situation, and it's for the whole world, but there's still hope. This is something that will pass, and only time will tell, and it is only up to God. And for this time, it is time for us to join hands together, be together, love each other, look out for each other, call each other, text each other, even your fans. I work with kids. I'm constantly on my WhatsApp group with the parents, giving them like tips on how to take care of their kids in the house, giving them rules like, we're having troubles with this, there's too much noise, there's what. But I'm always constantly telling them that it's time for you to enjoy the family time that you have with your children. Learn from them what they want, and the children will also learn from you what you want as a parent. So as a nation, in Zimbabwe, we know we have so many problems. Things are not well. There's so much running in our minds, and this is a time for us to just send love. The best way to do all of these things is just hug. You don't have to hug someone because of social distance, but you
Cheers.
just hug in the air. You know how it is when I saw one of the clips from a Chinese doctor who hugged her daughter in the air. So
Yeah.
everywhere we are, where we are sitting, you just give a hug to
Yeah.
the
And,
nation and to the world. Yes.
wow, thank you so much. So much hope coming from you guys in the midst of these struggles, in the midst of this pandemic. It's quite encouraging that the younger generation of creators in Zimbabwe, we're speaking out, we're speaking together, and we're raising our voice in hope and believe that we're going to overcome this situation. And thank you so much for taking your time, Hamilton, to Kozile, to Chipo, as well as to Blessing, who left us a bit earlier on. And yeah, it was really great to have you guys, Poet Itai, to have you on this program, speaking to um, masses, speaking to Zimbabweans, and talking about issues that relate to the arts and coronavirus and this situation. And to everybody who's watching, thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a pleasure. My colleague Boaz Gumede is picking up the conversation with Rimbai, Innocent, and they're going to be talking also around the same things. And until next time, New Voices Amplified, we're going to continue the conversations. Drop in your comments. Unfortunately, we were not able to read some of your comments as we went by with the program, but we'll definitely be in touch with you guys. And feel free to write to us, earground@gmail.com or info@earground.com, or just inbox us on earground on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, and then we'll respond to you. And until next time, let's stay strong. We'll overcome this as Zimbabweans. Thank you so much,
Real
guys.
freedom is.
It was
Thank
great.
Okay, let's go.
earGROUND Radio. New voices amplified. earGROUND Radio.